Okay, on to this. It has almost been 100 days since Lindsey Horvath was sworn in as LA County's newest supervisor. In that time, she has voted to declare homelessness an emergency. She's voted to end the COVID emergency on the 31st of this month. And as a Metro board member, she has committed herself to riding Metro regularly to better understand the system and its challenges. And joining us now in studio is LA County Supervisor Lindsey Horvath. Thank you and welcome to our studios on the St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Let's start off by talking about Metro, especially this week, because earlier this week here at 6 o'clock we had the reporter of the LA Times who had that incredible story about Metro and the fact that more than 20 people have died on Metro this year alone of suspected overdoses. You're committing yourself to riding Metro. How are you and the board working to make it safer?
So the fentanyl crisis has touched all aspects of our communities, and we have to fight back by focusing on safety and prioritizing everyone's safety no matter where they are in our communities, and that includes Metro. That's why we are investing in a layered approach, increasing our presence on our buses, on our rail cars throughout the system to ensure that people are safe while they're riding.
What do you see when you're out there, and do you feel safe?
I do feel safe, but there are certainly challenges. We want to make sure that we're meeting people where they are in those challenges. So providing services, we've contracted with providers like PATH to assist people who are experiencing homelessness. We're contracting with service providers who can help with addiction recovery and get people off the system who are using it as housing and instead make it a place where people can commute to work, can get to health care, can get to those everyday destinations that they need to get to.
I mean, because on that point, do you understand why there's some frustration from people who feel like, we're the taxpayers, I want to take my kid, I want to feel safe going on that, and then you go on and there's all these people that are using it as housing or are drug addicted in front of them and feel like, I don't feel comfortable being there, especially with my family.
Absolutely. We want to make sure that people feel safe, that they're comfortable while they're riding. That's why we're increasing the presence of our personnel throughout the system. These are challenges, like I said, that plague us on Metro, in our communities, and in places throughout. So Metro is no exception. But that's why we have to invest in solutions and make sure that we know what we're getting for that investment. Just as you said, when we're taxing ourselves to invest in a system, we want to know what we're getting. And as we look at the contracts, as we look at the systems that and the supporters that we're bringing in, the service providers, we want to make sure we know what they're capable of, and that's what we're reviewing right now.
Well, another department that is riddled with problems is the probation department.
Yes.
And you're passionate about this. The board just fired the chief probation officer.
We did.
On Tuesday, at your next meeting, you're going to be introducing a motion to make things better, I suspect. What's that plan?
Yes, we have a series of motions addressing a variety of aspects because while we know that our justice system is about accountability, for me, accountability isn't just punishing people. It's about how do we rehabilitate them so that way when they come back into our communities, they have skills, they have the tools they need and the supports that they need to be safe going out of our system. And right now, our probation system is not delivering for our young people. We need to make sure that they have the services, support, and especially education. Right now, probation officers aren't showing up to work, so teachers who are supposed to be teaching our young people in the system can't go to work either. Our young people are being given packets to educate themselves. That's unacceptable. We must do better.
I want to talk a little bit more about homelessness. You know, the old Hamilton line, the room where it happens.
Yes.
And everybody wants to get in the room where it happens.
Yes.
You're finally in the room where it happens.
I am. I'm in every room.
We all like understand what it's like from the outside looking in on this homeless issue, and there's so much frustration on it. Now that you're actually in that room, what do you think is the biggest barrier to getting stuff done, and what have you learned that maybe you didn't realize until you walked into that room?
The biggest barrier is the lack of coordination, the lack of clarity of how our services are supposed to work together, which is why we declared the state of emergency, not just because of who's on the streets, but because the way we're delivering services hasn't been working either. So we are fast-tracking how we hire, including mental health professionals, which we know we desperately need throughout the system, system, even beyond homelessness. We are working on expediting contracts to our service providers to make sure that the dollars, once again, that our communities are investing in this problem and solving this problem are actually getting to the places where it provides help. And speaking of the room where it happens, I appointed myself to the LAHSA Commission to make sure I'm at that table as well. We don't need more layers of bureaucracy. We need to be at the table directing the folks who are responsible for solving this problem, and that's why I'm at that table, as well as several committees in LAHSA to make sure it gets better.
And circling back to Metro, we were there for a 100 days briefing with Mayor Bass this week, and she mentioned working with Metro, which you're on the board, she's on the board,
Yep.
and to get some property that is not being used by Metro and use that for interim housing for people who choose to use Metro as a home.
Well, it's a way to stand up, hopefully, longer-term housing. It's a place to get, hopefully, some of the RVs that have been in neighborhoods into a centralized location to get people out of those RVs and into housing. But one of the biggest obstacles in doing that is people leaving their vehicles behind and not knowing where they're going to go.
Yeah.
So if we're able to store them on Metro lots while people move into housing and get the services and support that they need, it's a great way to transition.
And before you go, real quickly, it is St. Patrick's Day.
It is.
And one of the things is you go everywhere with your dog.
I do.
Who,
a lot of places.
No offense to you, has become a bigger star than
He
you.
is,
right?
he is.
I mean, Winston is just look at this incredible picture. Winston dressed up, and maybe we can bring Winston in here
sure.
with
I'm sure he'd love to.
your colleague Constance here. So this is Winston.
Winston of WeHo.
There he goes.
Dressed
Yes.
up in green. Frankly, wearing just about as much green as you're wearing. I know. We don't have a green jacket on today.
I know. All of my green is like from Tom Bergen's or another bar of the like, and so I didn't really think that was appropriate to wear today.
Yeah, so you brought your dog to wear the green for you.
Winston was in the audience the entire time, and you've been such a good boy.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Very
like my
cute.
St. Bridget's cross, though. It's
All
a
right.
it's a fire safety symbol as well, but you know,
Okay.
I am Irish.
And she is a graduate of Notre Dame as well.
I am.
Go
I
Irish.
am.
All right,
Thank you,
thanks.
Supervisor.
Thank you for
Supervisor.
having me.
And